Hi you guys, welcome back to the Lemon Abroad. The other day we were making Maafe at home, so I thought I would make this video so you could see exactly how we make it. Maafe is a traditional peanut stew that is served with rice, and it is a very popular dish in West African countries like Senegal and Gambia. Peanuts are actually a very abundant and important crop in West Africa, so much so that peanuts are actually found on the Gambian currency. Really, this is just one of my favorite dishes to have. It is totally a comfort food, so let's see how you make it. Now, just a heads up, this isn't really a set step-by-step recipe. How we make Maafe changes every time we make it. It just depends on what ingredients we have on hand and if we are in more of a rush or if there is more time to cook. So as we go through, I'll share some variations, but just take these as kind of the basic building blocks and just know that it's something that you can adjust to your own tastes and preferences. So here we have some of the ingredients, and as you can see, they are mainly vegetables. So we make Maafe with vegetables because I don't eat meat, but traditionally there would be some kind of meat along with vegetables. So that could be lamb, goat, beef, or chicken. Really whatever is available and what is liked by the people who are cooking it. So to start off, we are making the base seasoning, and we have this little blender as you can see, but if you weren't going to use that, you could just finely chop all of these things to put them in the pan. But we found that using the blender is just a faster way to do that, and it gives it a really even texture and just gets everything nice and finely chopped and mixed together. So as you can see today, we have some green onion that is going into the mix, and also there was some peppers. Actually, the pepper that you see in this video, we don't usually use. Instead, we usually have these smaller, they're red or green peppers that have more spice in them. And that, of course, is something that you can adjust based on your own preference of spice level. Okay, so then I insisted we get a cutting board out for safety purposes. So please be careful, of course, when you're using a knife, when you're using a blender. The next ingredients to go into the base are some tomatoes. We are also going to add an onion. We also have a few cloves of garlic, so you just want to cut the root off of those. And the last thing that we will add for the base is a carrot. Then we just blend it until it has all been processed and chopped up. So here we're adding some sunflower seed oil to a pot, and you can use whatever oil you normally use to cook with. Then we're going to add some tomato paste, and this is a very important component of the different flavors that you find in Maafe. Next, we can add the beautiful seasoning base that we made before. Again, there's not really a right way or a wrong way to do this, but you can see that the seasoning base and the tomato paste just really come together here, and I can tell you that this smelled amazing. Okay, now the next step may come as kind of a surprise, and we are going to add peanut butter. So as I mentioned before, peanuts are a very important crop in West Africa. They're very important to the cuisine and part of the everyday diet. So you'll find peanut in many forms across many dishes from this region. You can find a kind of peanut powder and also a fresh ground peanut paste, which of course we cannot find here, which is why we're substituting peanut butter. However, you do have to be careful with which kind of peanut butter you choose. So you can't use creamy peanut butter because it will basically just dissolve. The best kind is if you could find some kind of even natural peanut butter, but that has ground up peanuts in it. So it has a lot of texture, and the thicker it is, the better. So you can see that we did add a little bit of water there, and now you just cook it over the heat, and you need to be mixing all of this together, but really importantly, you need to be kind of smushing out the peanut butter, the peanut paste, essentially to get it to meld with the other ingredients and not just be kind of a glob of peanut butter. So at this point, you could add some more water, but I will tell you from my experience, this is the tricky part, is knowing how much water to add because you don't want it to get too watery. Eventually it is going to cook down, but you do need to be stirring it and kind of frothing it like you see in this video before you cover it and let it start to boil. Okay, so at this point we are going to cut the vegetables. Here we have potatoes and carrots, and we're going to cook them in kind of medium-sized chunks, but making sure that they're around the same size so that way they will cook evenly. So you do need to keep an eye on the maafe because before you know it, it's going to be bubbling up like this and have this kind of frothy top. So you can be stirring it and kind of using this gesture that you see here, which is just helping the maafe build its texture. And what's going to happen is that even though the maafe is boiling and bubbling up, it's going to start cooking down and becoming thicker. So as you can see, in really less than a minute of stirring and kind of tossing the top layer like this, you can see how the maafe has already begun to cook down. So while the maafe continues to simmer, now we can begin to season it. So we're going to start with a few bay leaves, some salt. We also have rice in the rice cooker, so we're putting that on to get ready. Meanwhile, the maafe is sitting semi-covered on the stove, so we can give it a stir and also add our vegetables. So now we can just stir those up and put the lid on, sort of semi-covering it to let it simmer. But again, make sure that you do keep an eye on it because it can boil up fast. So as you can see, the maafe just goes through this process of bubbling up and boiling down, and the bubbles start to get bigger and they do kind of get everywhere. It is kind of messy, and just be careful because of course this is boiling hot, so you just want to make sure that you're staying clear, that none of the bubbles could hit you on your skin. So now we're going to season it, and we use red chili flakes and also black pepper. You can see there's a lot of black pepper. We also added some powdered ginger this time, so that's just one example of how you can adjust the recipe to your own preferences. So as you can see, the color of the maafe is really changing. It's starting to become darker and it's also starting to thicken up. This is when you know that the maafe is ready to be served. We also have the white rice that has been cooking in the rice cooker, so we're just going to fluff that up. So first we will make a kind of bed of white rice in the dish. Now, because this dish is from West Africa, from Gambia, where my partner is from, we do eat it the way it would be eaten at home, and that is by sharing a communal plate. And now we can just begin to serve the maafe. So you're just going to place the maafe on top of the rice. And because it's thick, most of the maafe will just stay on top of the rice until you go to eat it and you can mix it together. But some of the juices will start to sink in through the rice. Make sure that you get the vegetables as well. They will now be so soft that you can cut through them with your spoon or with your hands. At home in Gambia, it is very common to eat with your hands. All in all, this only took took a little over an hour to make, and now it is finally time to eat. You can see here how you can kind of move the rice to get the maafe to sink in and for the rice to soak up all of that goodness. Now, the rule of thumb when you are sharing a communal plate is that you eat what you could call the pizza slice in front of you, so the immediate area in front of you, going from closest to you and working into the bowl. So that's it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you were able to maybe learn something new about a cuisine that you may not have known about before. I'll see you next time. Ciao!